long before mountains had names, and long before humans even knew how to write their own history, there was a world ruled by ancient creatures. In this primordial time, one being rose above all others, becoming the most feared and legendary of them all, the Red Rock Dragon, whose name was whispered in terror, Zarkun. Picture this. A creature larger than a mountain. Its scales were as hard as ancient steel, shimmering with a deep, menacing crimson. Its eyes were not just eyes. They were pools of eternal flame, burning with the heat of the world's core. Every single breath Zarkun took made the very earth tremble. When he exhaled, the smoke that billowed from his jaws was so thick and dark it turned the sky black with a sense of impending doom. But Zarkun was no ordinary dragon, not just a beast of mindless destruction. Deep within his massive chest, a powerful relic beat in place of a heart. It was known as the Ancient Fire Heart, an artifact of unimaginable power. Legends, passed down in hushed tones around flickering fires, said that whoever could control this heart would gain the power to rule the entire world. For millennia, this power remained locked away, a terrifying secret kept by the dragon himself. Far from the dragon's lair, at the very edge of the towering Red Rock Mountains, lived a young man named Arel. He was poor, owning nothing but the simple clothes on his back and a spirit forged in hardship. But what he lacked in possessions, he more than made up for in bravery. His courage was a quiet, steady flame, one that burned brighter than fear itself. Every night, as the sun set behind the jagged peaks, the village elders would gather the children and share the old stories. They spoke of the great dragon, Zarkun. They told tales of how entire kingdoms, proud and mighty, were turned to ash in a single night. They recounted the sagas of valiant heroes, warriors and knights who marched to face the beast, only to vanish in a torrent of fire, their names becoming just another warning. Arel listened to these stories not with terror, but with a growing sense of responsibility. He felt the weight of a world living under a shadow. Then, one fateful day, the stories became reality. The sky, once a brilliant blue, turned a terrifying blood-red crimson. It wasn't a king's sword, but it was a sword of conviction. Carrying this blade, Arel began his solitary journey. He started to climb the treacherous mountain, the one where Zarkun made his lair. The path was a grim testament to the dragon's power. The bones of fallen warriors and would-be heroes lay scattered across the rocky slopes like stark white warnings. Each skeleton was a story of failed courage, a monument to despair. But Arel did not falter. He pushed onward and upward, his resolve hardening with every step. Finally, he reached the summit, and there, he saw him. Zarkun stood before him, a terrifying silhouette against the crimson sky. His colossal wings were so vast they blotted out the sun, casting the world into an eerie twilight. And his eyes, those two burning embers, pierced directly into Arel's soul, searching for the fear he expected to find. A voice that was not a voice, but a force of nature, thundered through the air, shaking the very rocks Arel stood upon. "Why do you not run, little human?" The dragon roared, his tone a mix of arrogance and genuine curiosity. Arel's hands were shaking, his heart was pounding like a war drum in his chest, but he forced his voice to be steady. He looked up at the immense creature and replied, because fear should not be allowed to rule the world forever. For the first time in centuries, the dragon was taken aback, and then, he laughed. It was a sound that shattered stone and echoed across the desolate peaks. It was a laugh of pure, unadulterated power. Yet, within that earth-shattering sound, there was a flicker of surprise. In all his long existence, No human had ever faced him without immediately falling to their knees in terror. This one was different. The battle that followed was a cataclysm. It was a conflict that tore the sky apart. Fire clashed with steel. Roars of primeval rage met the sharp clang of a mortal sword. Thunder rolled not from the clouds, but from the impact of their blows. The mountain itself seemed to groan under the strain of their epic duel. Arel was skilled, and his sword was true, but he quickly realized he could never win with strength alone. He was a man, and he was fighting a god of destruction. He was outmatched in every physical way. But Arel had something else, something the dragon, for all his power, had overlooked: wisdom. As the fight raged, Arel began to see the truth. He saw it in the dragon's eyes, a deep ancient sadness hidden beneath the rage. He began to understand that the ancient fire heart was not a source of malevolent power, but a terrible, lonely burden. It was a curse of guardianship, forcing Zarkun into a cycle of destruction he could not escape. The heart was a prison, and the dragon was its eternal warden. In that moment of clarity, Arel knew what he had to do. He didn't need to kill the dragon. He needed to free him. With his final ounce of strength, he dodged a wave of fire and lunged not at the dragon's throat, but toward his chest, where the heart pulsed with furious energy. He made his final choice. He plunged his grandfather's sword deep into the ancient fire heart. He didn't destroy a life. He destroyed a curse. A blinding, pure white light erupted from the dragon's chest, consuming the entire mountain summit. It was a light of absolution, of release. Zarkun let out one final, deafening roar. But this was not a roar of rage or pain. It was a roar of freedom, a sound of a soul finally unchained after eons of imprisonment. As the light faded, the dragon's colossal body began to change. The crimson scales turned to gray stone. The fiery eyes grew dim. His form hardened, merging with the mountain itself, becoming a new, silent peak against the horizon. The Red Rock Dragon became the Dragon's Rest Mountain, an eternal monument to the day the world changed. From that day on, fire no longer fell from the sky. The world was no longer ruled by fear. And the legend that was passed down through the generations was different. It said, the last dragon was not slain, he was set free. And Arel, the poor boy with nothing but courage, he too became a legend, his story forever intertwined with that of the dragon he had saved. Thanks for watching our story today. If you enjoyed this journey into legend, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our next adventure. See you next time.